Good afternoon. I am so honored and thrilled to have two wonderful guests today. Mr. Jeff Moses from a wonderful, unique company, GAPC Health, and a star scientist, Dr. Jonathan Lakey. Mr. Jeff Moses is the President and Chief Marketing Officer for GATC Health. He oversees operations and business development for the company and is responsible communicating GATC unique value proposition to partners and customers. Dr. Jonathan Lakey is a world-known scientist, professor of surgery and biomedical engineering at the University of California, Irvine, scientific advisor for GAPC Health, and lead scientist for diabetes research. Thank you so much for accepting our invitations.
For inviting us to the program.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. That's my honor and privilege. I'm so excited for this interview. Thank you for your time. Mr. Moses, would you please tell us to know about wonderful work your company is doing in GAPC Health?
Sure. GATC Health is a biotechnology firm. We use very advanced artificial intelligence to investigate biological data, including DNA or genetics, as well as other biological information. And what we do is we're looking to advance the early detection of diseases, as well as help accelerate the development of therapeutics, drugs, and other interventions. We're doing some really incredible work right now. In fact, the project that Dr. Lakey is working on is illustrative of that. And what we're really doing is making sense of the giant amount of data, biological data, that we've created as a result of the discovery of the unlocking of the human genome 35 years ago. One of the biggest challenges in our field is, firms like ours collect massive amounts of data, billions of data points, and then we're tasked with making sense of that and telling our partners, whether they're physicians or pharma partners, what it means. It's really, the challenge is better understanding the problem so that we can come up with the right answers, and that's what we really do specifically.
That's wonderful. Would you please, Mr. Moses, let us know about the details of the diagnostic procedures that your scientists and your team takes to make happen?
Sure. So on the diagnostic side, everybody's seen the Star Trek episode where Bones, the doctor, has a little device and holds it over somebody's arm, and then suddenly is made aware of exactly what's wrong with that person. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. What we're doing is we take, in general, we start with a simple cheek swab to collect the whole genome or whole exome. We analyze that, it goes through sequencing, and then comes back to our platform. And what we can do is we can look at certain disease states and tell you exactly what your health risks are. We can actually look at what treatments would be best for you as well. So we're really moving towards personalized medicine, where we're basing these assessments on your personal risk. Your DNA determines your health outcomes to a large extent. And we look at other biological data too that surrounds that. This could be protein information or environmental metabolism, and we add that in, and we can come up with highly specific risk assessments for certain disease states.
That's wonderful. Would you also let us know more about the therapeutics?
Sure. So our system is capable of also looking at what therapies might be effective for these disease states, or even taking it a step further, developing or repurposing existing drugs. And the way we do this is our system thinks in terms of human biology. There are other similar AI/genetics companies that are kind of tied to old ways of machine thinking, decision tree thinking, linear algorithmic thinking. And we've got a system that we believe is unique in the world that really is able to think in terms of human biology. And in that respect, you can think of it in terms of a virtual digital human being. So this virtual human can be composed of hundreds of thousands of DNA samples, and we can kind of make a general assessment, or we can introduce DNA from you or me and really see where we differ from that general population, so that we can understand specifically what is going to help that disease state. We can take that virtual human and overlay a disease state on top of it and see how it interacts with the various functions in your body. And from there, we've actually taken it a step further, and we can really develop new drugs new therapies from this new way of looking at human biology.
That's really impressive, Mr. Moses. Thank you so much. Would you please let us to know about the other disease, the general information about what kind of disease you have been working on them more?
Sure. So we started by creating specific engines or instances of our artificial intelligence to look at certain things, and it began with kind of a generalized health and wellness platform. This is for people who want to optimize their personal health and wellness by evaluating their DNA and what that can reveal about what foods you should eat, what supplements you should take, how much exercise you could get, and what general health risks you have. From there, we branched off and we did a viral immunity platform. Obviously, it's tuned to COVID right now, but it can look at any viral threat. And so it will evolve as the threat to the human population changes over time. It can tell us three things. It can tell you if you can get sick, if you can get an infection from COVID, that's your susceptibility. It can tell you what that response will be. So we can tell you how sick you will be, and we can go further and tell you if you're going to suffer downstream effects up to and including death. So, a very small percentage of the population should really never be exposed to SARS-CoV-2, and a good number of us are probably pretty safe, interacting with caution in normal social settings. So it's really helpful in assessing a person's personal health risk to viral immunity, to viral attack. We have a major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder platform. We're about to introduce a cardiac risk platform, and we have the platform that Dr. Lakey is heading for us, which is diabetes, and we're very excited about the work there.
That's really impressive and phenomenal. In fact, you are using the most novel, innovative technology, using the most groundbreaking technologies like artificial intelligence, and analyzing billions of data less than 5 seconds to not just treatment aspects, but also for the pre-screening of the patients and the treatment site, and also the post-treatment site for evaluation of side effects.
That's absolutely correct.
That's really impressive. So we would love to dive deeper into the subject and ask please Dr. Lakey to let us know more about the groundbreaking research that he is leading.
Sure, thank you very much for the opportunity. So my focus is in diabetes, and as you know, diabetes is a pandemic, and the incidence is rising. The cost to the healthcare system are in the hundreds of billions of dollars, each and every year. Diabetes is the leading cause of blindness, leading cause of amputation. So what really interested me in working with GATC is their capacity to use their technology to screen and identify those at risk of developing diabetes. Unfortunately, usually a diabetic is diagnosed when they become hyperglycemic and start to have some of the effects of long-term hyperglycemia affecting their health. So this type of technology is very novel, and it allows us to know ahead of time who's at an increased risk of developing the disease, so that we can go in and we can administer treatments and strategies to hopefully prevent those people from going down that path and developing diabetes. So it's a very, very important tool, and what GATC has done has been able to screen and be able to identify the key trigger points that we would then focus on for our diabetes application.
That's wonderful. Dr. Lakey, I know that you have been really leading a very huge projects and protocols in regard to this, like transplantation, islands, and let's say beside the traditional approach, we have been having implantable devices as well as implant of whole pancreas, and more recently injection of stem cells. Would you please let us know about this very wonderful research?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was involved, and I co-developed a treatment for transplanting insulin-producing cells from the pancreas into patients with long-standing brittle type 1 diabetes. That was done while I was a professor at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. And what it identified is that when we transplant these cells that we isolate from organ donors, cadaver donors, we were able to get these insulin-producing cells and transplant them into individuals and be able to show that these transplanted cells can function. What it also identified is the two real limiting factors of the technology, one of which is the lack of organ donors, and secondly, the need for chronic lifelong immunosuppression, the anti-rejection drugs that prevent the body from destroying these transplanted cells. And so in 2007, I was recruited to the University of California, Irvine to become one of the founding scientists at the Sue and Bill Gross Stem Cell Center, which is a center on the campus of the University of California, Irvine, where all individuals in that lab, in that building, have labs and focus on stem cell technology. So we've been working on how do we get stem cells that we collect from umbilical cords or from other sources, how do we get those stem cells to become these insulin-producing cells? We have a very specific path that they go down. There's about 6 or 7 steps that push that stem cell to become this insulin-producing cell. The second aspect of my work in the field of biomedical engineering is placing these new insulin-producing stem cells into devices, bioengineered devices, some of which are made using 3D printers, some of which are made using composite materials that have been around, and we're able to make a protective coating around these cells and transplant them into individuals that have already identified and have become diabetic. What we're hoping to do is be proactive with GATC and identify those at the highest risk of developing diabetes and have therapies that we can give to them early on so that they never develop diabetes. And so this really, it fits into my overall strategy of coming up with a way to treat patients, but also to ensure that these patients, once transplanted, have a long and successful life.
That's really impressive and phenomenal. Dr. Lakey, how do you imagine the future of this scientific leading research?
So my vision for this technology is that once kids go back to school, we can, on the first day of school, these kids can get a swab. That information is sent to the company, where they can then screen and identify those individuals who are at a higher risk and be able to start treating them early. And so this would be something that companies could use as part of their job screening and employee support, where we can get in, because it'll be a lot cheaper for the companies to treat the individuals before, rather than wait before they become really sick. And so diabetes is only one small application of this technology from GATC, but I see that being used in other disease states, as Jeff initially talked about. But I really see this as something that becomes an integral part of a person's health record.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Leakey. While there are lots of disease going around affecting many patients, and as you mentioned, diabetes is not only among top 10 leading cause of deaths in the globe, also the 7th cause of the deaths in the United States, with an economic burden of more than $300 billion. We have many undiagnosed patients that leading to the late diagnosis, blindness, amputation, cardiovascular disease. So with bridging, connecting these two sides, star scientists like you and unique, wonderful companies like GATC Health, we have more individual and precise approach to save life and bring bench-side research to the bedside and help to improve the healthcare. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Sure. I have one last question for Mr. Moses about the addiction. Is there any platform for this side of research?
Yes, we work closely with a partner called Liquid Biosciences. They're one of the leading biomarker discovery companies in the field. Their work consists of they're contracted with large pharma partners to discover biomarkers for a specific disease state. They've done about 170 of these transactions with major pharma partners or large research universities, and they've called us in to partner with them to give biological context to their biomarkers. We were the first project we worked on with them. We replaced IBM Watson, which was doing the biomarker validation. In fact, they had been working on it for several years and failed to produce any result. So when we started, we were very excited to partner with them. It's with a major pharma partner, one of the largest in the world, and they wanted us to look at cocaine addiction. Stimulant addiction works very differently than opioid addiction and is largely a function of the limbic system in your brain. We were provided by the pharma partner with very good biological samples, brain tissue samples, from which we were able to validate the biomarkers for Liquid Bioscience. And we took it a step further. And what happened was, if you can envision this, if you look in the night sky and you see a big star, it's easy to think that that's the most important star in the sky. But what's really happening is you're just looking at the youngest or the closest, and it might not really be the most important. And to my point earlier, this is really what we do very well, is we help identify the problem. So in this case, our science team was able to see beyond that one big star at one that decays rapidly, but we believed was actually the cause, the source of stimulant addiction. And from there, we were able to see what affected those biomarkers and came up with novel, brand new molecules that we believe are going to form the basis for addiction treatment, for stimulant addiction treatment going forward. Those molecules are patented. The process by which we discovered it was patented, and we're currently automating that process so that in the very near future, we will have a platform that basically identifies new drugs or repurposes existing drugs based on whatever biological data we're feeding it in the front end. It spits out a new drug on the back end. It's really exciting technology. We believe it's unique in the world, and we're excited to expand on that work.
Thank you so much again for this impressive, phenomenal information and helping doing this cutting edge research, bringing science to the real life. Again, so many thanks for accepting our invitation and for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. با سلام خدمت همه بینندگان عزیز تلویزیون جهانی کانال 1. همونطور که دیدید برنامه امروز رو از میهمانان عزیزمون شروع کردیم به خاطر اینکه اینا وقتشون خیلی محدود بود و مطلبی رو که امروز راجع بهش بحث کردن این بود که یک سری بیماری هایی هستن در حال حاضر که ما به عنوان مثال بیماری قند یا دیابت رو انتخاب کردیم راجع بهش اگزمپل بدیم، مثال بیاریم براتون. دیابت در حال حاضر 10مین علت مرگ و میر در کل دنیا هست و 7مین علت مرگ در ایالات متحده آمریکا. بیشتر از 300 بیلیون دلار اکانومیک کاست، بار اقتصادی داره و خیلی از این بیمارا وقتی که به سمپتوم ها میرسن تشخیص داده میشن، آن دایاگنوزد باقی میمونن. یک همچین ساینتیست هایی با تکنولوژی جدید و کمپانی هایی که به عنوان مثال ما این کمپانی رو که خیلی کار یونیکی انجام میده در گلوب با بالاترین تکنولوژی هایی که از آرتفیشال اینتلیجنس استفاده میکنه دیتاهای متعددی رو در مورد بایومارکرهای هر فرد در داخل بدنش آنالایز میکنه در کمتر از 5 ثانیه. Billions of data are analyzed. کمتر از 5 ثانیه اینا آنالایز میکنن و پروواید میکنن. در نتیجه هم به صورت کلینیکال میتونن به صورت ایندیویدوال فرد به فرد تارگت بکنن، هم به صورت پرسکرینینگ، هم به صورت درمان و همینطور بعد از درمان عوارض رو در هر فرد منحصر به اون فرد بررسی میکنن. اینا که یک چیز بسیار یونیکی هست. اینها در کنار درمان‌هایی که ترادیشنال از گذشته وجود داشته برای درمان دیابت یک سری درمان‌های جدید دارن مثل کاشت دیوایس ها و همینطور کاشت ترانسپلنت خود ارگان، خود پانکراس که خب مشکلات متعددی داره. یکی از مشکلاتش این هست که تعداد دونور محدود هست، پروسیجر خیلی کامپلکسه، بردن اقتصادی بالایی داره و تعداد پانکراسی که بتونن ترانسپلنت کنن خیلی کم هست توی این بیماران و همینطور عوارض ایمونوساپرشن. در نتیجه یک سری تکنولوژی های دیگه ای رو مثل استم سل دارن استفاده میکنن که خیلی ناول هست، خیلی یک ریسرچ بسیار منحصر فردی است که این گروه دارن روش کار میکنن و با استفاده از کمپانی ها و تکنولوژی جدید تونستن اینها رو به مرحله استفاده های بالینی برسونن. این میریم سراغ اخبار کووید. اسلاید اول لطفاً اتاق فرمان. طبق آخرین آماری که گزارش شده توتال کانفرمد کیس ما 188.9 میلیون نفر هست، توتال دسمون 4 میلیون هست، نیو کیس ما 565,361 گزارش شده که از این تعداد نیو دس ما 8,496 رقم گزارش شده. اسلاید بعدی لطفاً. کشورهایی که در حال حاضر خیلی پرو هستن، پیشرو هستن در زمینه واکسیناسیون، امارات متحده عربی، بحرین و اوروگوئه هستند. بعد از اون شیلی، اسرائیل و یوکی قرار گرفتن. اسلاید بعدی لطفاً. آمار واکسیناسیون جهانی دوز پر 100 پیپل در حال حاضر 45.8 گزارش شده، در ایالات متحده آمریکا 100.5. اسلاید بعدی لطفاً. و در حال حاضر ایران حدود 7% از آمار واکسیناسیونش، همچنان موج 5 کرونا در ایران در پیک خودش قرار داره. ICU ها طبق گزارشات پر هستن و همینطور تهران و البرز یک هفته شاتداون و تعطیلی براشون اعلام شده. یک خبر جدیدی رو که 15 جولای منتشر شد توسط مجله بسیار معتبر پزشکی نیچر این هستش که مرگ و میر کووید incredibly خیلی به صورت باور نکردن، به صورت خیلی مهمی ریر هست در بین بچه ها، خیلی کم اتفاق میفته در بچه ها و اینا اومدن در حدود 50 کشور بررسی کردن، آمار رو، دیتا ها رو آنالیز کردن، دیدن مرگ و میر کووید در بچه ها بسیار کم هست خوشبختانه و بچه هایی که مرگ و میر درشون اتفاق افتاده اینها معمولا یک underlying disease داشتن که به همین خاطر دچار مرگ و میر شده بچه هایی که مبتلا به کووید شدن. اسلاید آخر لطفاً. این مطلبی هست که خدمتتون بحثش رو انجام دادیم towards stem cell therapy for diabetes که مجله نیچر در مورد همین درمانهای جدیدی که خدمتتون ما صحبت کردیم با این ساینتیست بسیار برجسته و کامپانی بسیار معتبر، درمانهای جدیدی هست که در آینده حتما راجع بهش بیشتر براتون صحبت خواهیم کرد. خیلی ممنون که بیننده ما بودید. برنامه ما هر سه‌شنبه بعد از ظهر ساعت 6 به وقت غرب آمریکا مطابق با 5:30 بامداد به وقت ایران پخش میشه و ما جدیدترین یافته‌های پزشکی رو خدمت شما ارائه خواهیم کرد. تا برنامه بعدی، روز و روزگار خوش.